Welcome everybody to Astrology Unplugged. As I was telling everybody, since the hackers, I gotta turn this chat off. See, let's see, there it is. Since the hackers have jumped all over Zoom, because Zoom has just gone so crazy worldwide. In other words, somebody at Skype's getting fired. Maybe 10 people they know are getting fired too. Since Zoom has become a verb, the dream of all marketers. Since they get hit by hackers, they have now forced us to require all entries to go through a password, which I didn't want to do, or put you in a waiting room. So that's what happened to you tonight. And if you don't behave, I'm putting you back in the waiting room. Okay? All right. As I was saying to people a moment ago, see the waiting room. Okay. So that's one reason I didn't want to do it. Peter's here. And Chris from the East Coast hasn't been here in a while. Welcome, Chris from the East Coast. I have some upcoming guests. Going to be really intriguing. I've invited Stephen Poplin back. He is now living in Virginia Beach. He's the astrologer / hypnotist / regressionist. He's been on the show 4 times. He and I are going to cover detail by detail from October 15th through January 21st. And the planets are just raising hell. And it's going to be just like you're fearing. Crazy. So we're going to cover that. And then my wonderful guest coming November 19th, my very good friend, Nook Sanchez, the absolute expert on the Course in Miracles. And boy, you better be ready. Because if you think you're a body, then you better not come to the show. Here comes Jordan. It's just hard to think you're not a body, isn't it? We're looking out and seeing all these bodies. Anyhow, she's excellent. Anyhow, tonight, I thought because all this heavy-duty stuff's coming, we're going to talk about a sun and moon because everybody's got one. Okay? Now, there are all these books, and they pride themselves because one of the real pains of astrology is people don't know much about their chart. So one thing people do to get a little inch closer is they find out about their moon. So in your birth chart, you actually have 10, 11, 12 planets there, what we call planets. We all know about the sun sign. And I'm sure most of you know your moon placement. Now, during a month, let's take this for example. We just entered 10 days ago, we entered into Libra. And as we go through 30 degrees of Libra, the moon will go all the way around the zodiac. Because in our zodiac, we cheat. We cheat a lot. Western astrologers put the earth in the middle. Other people put the sun in the middle. Different kind of astrology. So as that sun's transiting Libra, the moon will go through all 12 signs. And that's why you hear about new moons and full moons. It takes the moon about 28 days to go through. And actually, we would be better off with a calendar with 13 months with 28 days each. But we can't do that for 7 billion reasons. Same reason they can't turn Trump's microphone off. Because you ain't allowed to. How many people are going like this? Turn it off. Oh my God. Anyhow. So, your moon is really, really important. By far, it's the second most important thing in your chart. And no, Susan A., you cannot say the moon is the second most important. Generally, it is. But there can be other constructs in the chart, like T-squares, planets near angles, oppositions to the sun. There are all these exceptions. That's how Lady Astrology is. She's just got tons of exceptions for every other exception. But in general, your moon is really important. And the reason why is your sun is your conscious mind. The sun, you learn a lot in astrology by learning the rulership. Learn sun rules Leo, moon rules Cancer. Now, moon and Cancer, they're two different things, but they're very much similar. So the more you learn about the moon, the more you learn about Cancer, but yet they're different. So your moon is really important because it rules your unconscious mind. The moon is so big. It rules your unconscious mind, your mama, your grandmama, your home, your family, your property, your lineage, your traditions, your habits, your unconscious, your reactions. There's a lot of things. So the moon's really big. So it's really pretty important that your sun and moon get along. Now I'm going to say this to you really clearly. Some people have a sun and moon that get along fine, but the chart's a mess. Some people have a sun and moon that don't get along at all, but the chart's fine. So we're going to talk just about the sun and moon, but you can see as you start to add Mercury and you add Venus and you add Mars and you add Saturn and you add Uranus, the chart can really change. So tonight, forgive me, we're going to talk just about the sun and moon. If anybody's in that waiting room, start waving your hand real big. And I do get a little sign on my screen. I'll let you in. We're going to start with John because John has been teaching the past 3 hours about evidence. I'll ask him to unmute. And John, if you need any evidence about this White House, then I feel sorry for you. Oh my God, we got so much evidence. Okay. Guilty beyond an unreasonable doubt. That's what I say. All right, John, let's get you.
I'm presumed to be innocent here.
What?
I'm presumed to be innocent.
Do you know that it says that nowhere? It says that nowhere in the Constitution or any of the books of the United States, it says nowhere does it say that you're presumed to be innocent.
You're absolutely correct.
It doesn't say it anywhere.
The Supreme Court said that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they found it.
It's
They found it in between the lines.
Nothing about being Christian and nothing about assuming that you are innocent.
Right.
And for a lot of people of a certain race, you're assumed to be guilty
Right.
before you're proved innocent. Which we're hoping to change that with Eris. Okay, let's get to John. Okay, we're going to, I was just guessing you might show up tonight. John's chart, let's put it on your screen, and I'm not going to go into the rest of the chart because you see I could spend the whole time on one chart. Hi, Linda, glad you're with us. All right, there we go. Sun in Gemini, moon in Scorpio. Okay, now, this one I could talk a long time about. All right, you can't, let me reach over here. You can't do much of any of this until you know this. You got to know the essence of what is Gemini, what is Scorpio down at its essence layer. Not just the words that we always apply to it or what the stereotype is. You have to really understand what a Gemini is, what a Scorpio is. Anyhow, I'm not going to do, Ray, don't start. Wait, say what houses are they in? I'm not doing it. We're talking about sun and moon. See, I have to, I got to watch myself. It gets so hard. Okay, a Gemini person. First of all, Gemini men are much more playful than Gemini women. This is one of the only signs I know where it's really true that the male and females are different. I don't know why I don't like my glasses on when I do my show. Gemini men are much more playful, much harder to get to anger. Gemini women will anger much quicker, much sharper tongue. But it's all based on the same thing. Gemini people are meant to explore and find things and tell people about it. Isn't this neat? Look at that. That's simple. Look at this. Isn't it neat? Check it out. Oh, I got 5 friends to call. Tell them about it. That's Gemini. They're obsessed with how does the mind work. Epistemology. It's that simple. Now, they're touchy because they're sometimes shallow, they're sometimes not real deep emotionally, and that can be true. It all depends. It depends on the whole chart, but they're not a sign meant to be deeply emotional. They're just not meant to be. They're kind of like the kids you go play with next door. Is a lot of fun. That's Gemini. Now, Scorpio. The moon is in Scorpio. First of all, the moon is a water sign. And what is Scorpio? Scorpio is a fixed water sign. What does it mean to be fixed water? What is water in its fixed state? It's called ice, which means Scorpios generally love what they love and they hate what they hate. Fixed feelings. That's why they're so strong, because they feel what they feel. Damn it. It's also why people are afraid of them, because they have this stereotype of being revengeful, etc., etc. Some of them are, many of them aren't. Okay, so what you have is a very lighthearted brain, a lighthearted personality that's curious about everything, but John is certainly not emotionless with a moon in Scorpio. So he doesn't have to fall prey to the kind of teasing that many Geminis get about not being very deep, because you don't get any deeper than moon in Scorpio. Moon in Scorpio is not a good place. The moon is exalted over in Taurus. Won't hurt you to learn these things either. Where's the moon exalted? Its best place is in Taurus. Where's its fall? The opposite place. Scorpio, worst place for it. Why is the moon not well placed in Taurus? Well, the reason is the moon functions best when I feel what I feel and you feel what you feel and I feel what you feel and we feel each other, etc., etc. Well, the moon in Scorpio tends to be obsessed with how it feels. That's the problem with the moon in Scorpio. I don't think it's right. I don't think it's really that true. I've observed a lot of people with moon in Scorpio that are just fine. Now, you don't want a moon in Scorpio if you're a heavy-duty sign. Capricorn, Scorpio, Leo. John's a lighthearted sign. So it's got a real good balance here. First of all, the sun in Gemini and the moon in Scorpio don't get along because they're 5 signs away. Somebody wants in and wondering how they got stuck in the waiting room. Okay, welcome, Deborah. When planets are 5 signs away, in general, signs get along best when they're all odd or they're all even. The odd signs are 1, 3, 5, 7, 11. Aries, Gemini, Leo, Libra, Sag, Aquarius. Those signs in general get along well with each other because they're air and they're fire. Air and fire mix together well. The other signs, the even-numbered signs, the feminine signs, 2, 4, 6, 8, etc., are Taurus, Cancer, Virgo, Scorpio, Capricorn, Pisces. These are water and earth. Water, earth go together well. So that's one of the reasons that his sun in Gemini doesn't do well with a moon in Scorpio, because they're not in the same element and they're not in the same mode. So they're very different. But you got to dig deeper, because in experience, you see Gemini combined with Scorpio all the time. Lots of Gemini, John is reverse. Lots of Scorpio men marry Gemini women. John is reversed with his Scorpio wife. One of the reasons for that, perhaps the main reason, is they're both very curious. They're really curious people. Gemini is curious about everything, and Scorpio wants to know how everything ticks. So there's a real good and a real not so good combination with his sun moon. The good thing is, when his Scorpio gets too damn intense, gets too hot in the kitchen, the soap opera gets too intense, the Gemini is known for let it go, ha ha ha, let it go, ha ha ha, laughs it off. And likewise, when the Gemini is too shallow, Scorpio comes and gives it definition, and gives it that meaning. This is why Trump is so abused by everybody about not caring more and more. He's a Gemini, one of the main reasons, with a moon in Sag. He just doesn't care. Now, there are a lot of people with Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Sag that do care, but the rest of his chart really makes it compounded. But that Gemini-Sag combination is not the deepest emotional, caring, mothering placement. But with John, he's got them, they're very complementary. When one's serious, the other one's light. When one's light, the other one's serious. So the power, when you mix the two together, they're really, really curious. They're really, really curious. The difficulty is the moon in Scorpio can't understand why his Gemini doesn't follow through on things. And the moon in Scorpio, his emotional reaction is to get upset with himself that he didn't finish something when the Gemini sun is not made to finish anything. Geminis are known for 400 books all open next door on their bed table. They're all known for that. That's how they are. They don't want to finish the book. They got what they want. Sag. Every Sag I've met, and this is really true, they're reading alcoholics, readaholics. They just love to read. They don't even care what they're reading. They just love to read. A friend of mine just got out of jail from high school, Sagittarius. I said, what did you do? He said he read a lot. I said, what did you read? He said, anything you find. So it's very true. So the good side, reiterating, is the Scorpio will lead you down some dark alleys that you really wish you weren't down there. and the Gemini, the Gemini is real glad to lighten your heart and be evasive and get out of it. That's one of the good things. The really tough thing about it is it's two energies that are very hard to mix because their natures are against each other. One wants to be lighthearted and stay at a distance. Scorpio is all about blending with the next person. Just, and that Gemini can't even stand the thought of that. So I'm not sure how John does it, but I'm sure in his own way he has to maintain a Gemini, maintain a Scorpio, and at times he has to find his very special way for these two to blend. John, does this sound true to you?
I think so, yeah.
And how do you resolve it?
The Scorpio, my own Scorpio and my own Gemini.
Yeah.
Hi, Gemini.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm very deep thinker. So that's the Scorpio, I think, and that counteracts the Gemini, where I focus. I just retired, so I'm kind of feeling my way with some health problems to see what I want to do. But right at this point, I'm not following through with as much as I could because I've got these health problems. So I'm going to resolve those within the next week. But I think I have a balance.
Well, I would say to you, congratulations, because I don't think it's an easy thing to balance. And I will remind you, there's about 5 planets in Gemini. Anyhow, good for you. Very, very good. And they can be blended. So if ever, this should be a good lesson for all of you. Astrology is full of curses in these books, especially old books. Don't pay attention to them. Take them with salt, listen to them, but don't be afraid of them. I got into this in 1971 when I had a curse put on me by an astrologer. And that's what led me to 1978 and digging deep into it. Well, congratulations, John. I think you will learn from listening to the rest of this, but you see what the plus and the minus is. Okay?
Yeah.
All right, we'll go on to Claudia. If you unmute yourself, Claudia, I will take a look at you. I'm following the order on my screen. Claudia, Sun in Leo, Moon in Pisces. No, I'm not going to get into the houses, and I'm going to keep reminding you guys, the rest of the chart can do a lot to change this. Sun in Leo, Moon in Pisces. A possibly beautiful combination, because if you get to the Leo to move a little bit off center, these people are full of love because they're ruled by the sun. The sun wants to give warmth. and you may believe this or not, but that's what this book is about. Pisces is born to love people. This book was called Pisces, the ultimate sign. It's the original name. I didn't think people would understand it properly, so we changed it. Then we got them all confused. What do you mean by exquisite? Okay. All right. Now the problem comes in. Hi, Chris. I'm glad you're here. But we get you. Ooh, I'm not going to forget you. You make sure to remind me. Okay. The problem comes in. Again, these are two signs that are 5 signs apart. One's fixed, one's mutable. One's fire, one's water. Well, water puts out fire. The problem is that her fixed part, her Leo part, is all about get the fire burning, let the fire burn, let it go, let it burn, let it burn. Pisces is just let it go, just let it go. Don't worry about it. Oh yeah, but fix, but let it go, So it can work out, but it's not a hard sun-moon combination to resolve. It's not a hard one. But the good thing is the Leo all fixed signs can be too stubborn. What are the fixed signs? I want you guys to learn this stuff. Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, Aquarius, 4 fixed signs. These signs are fixed. That means they're stubborn, and that means they're fixed to what their element is, and her element is fire. You don't push the beach ball under the water and it stays there, comes back out. That's Leo. You just don't push these people down. I can't tell you how many Leos I talk to, and they go 1.5 sentences with me, and there's an interruption, and 4 years later they come back and they start right where they were. They pick up right at that sentence. They remember exactly where they were. They're fixed. They're fixed to it. It's unbelievable. Now, one of the really good things about where Leo gets in trouble, Leo is a sign misunderstood. Leo is a sign that needs accolades so it can grow in confidence. That's the secret to Leo. And the secret to Leo is they need respect. Well, the thing about Pisces is when Pisces is disrespected, they don't care. All right? And when the Leo, who needs so much adulation, doesn't get it, they don't care. So Leos can really get off into a negative trip, like you see with the president with his Mars on Leo rising. That's what makes him so impossible. You watch that debate last night, you saw Mars and Leo on the first house. Just boom, 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 boom. It doesn't back down. Well, the Pisces part of her backs down. And then on the other side, the Pisces is too soft. It's okay to walk on me. You can walk on me. I don't need any food. Just walk on me. It's all right. The Leo ain't going to let that happen. It's not going to let it happen. So it's a really good combination of 2 planets that are really not related well. But it really can be a very nice thing. Because when she gets too soft or too giving or too balancing, too yielding, the Leo steps up, because the Leo is, I told you, De Niro, right? You talking to me? You talking to me? That's the Leo. So it keeps that Pisces from being too martyristic. Now, if you all look closely, Susan is painting your lens on your screen. So if you look at your screen by the end of the night, you'll see a picture of yourself, because she's got the brushes going. She must have that painting board like right next to her lens. So you understand me, Claudia?
Yes.
It's really a pretty nice combo. The problem comes in when your Leo is like a tough soldier. He stands up and says, doggone it, here's my spear and I'm standing my ground. But inside the Moon of Pisces is going, oh, I don't really want to fight anybody. We don't want to fight. And it starts to yield. And the Leo can start to feel like the moon is a wimp. You see? And the moon in Pisces is always about yielding to love more, yielding to love more. Um, there's that balance because sometimes it shouldn't yield. So I really don't think this is a very tough problem. I think it's a really nice combination. And of the Leo people, another generational thing, another gender issue. I mean, the loving side comes out much more with the women. With the men will talk a lot about their kids and stuff, and it's this. So this is the side about children, but the kids are more like trophies to them.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas it's different with the Leo women. The Leo women are much more generous, and the Leo males can be very generous. But Leo, by being male, they're tempted to go more towards the ego side. And what better to have a possible ego temptation with the sign of the non-ego? Crazy.
Right.
So it can work out well. And I really recommend this book for you to read all 12 chapters, because the book is a crescendo all the way to the non-self of Pisces. And you can't benefit from this book by reading one particular chapter. Do you understand?
Yep. And I actually got it today. So we're in good.
You just got the book?
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, you read the whole thing, read your part, and then read the whole thing at least twice, and you'll start to see it all fit together.
Yeah.
I think it's a beautiful combination, Claudio. How do you feel about it?
The older I get, the more I'm on John's program, where I'm finding the balance in it, or it's used. I have been fragmented throughout my youth, where I was such a martyr and walk all over me, or I was like way too much of a Leo.
Right.
And now I see the balance, and I find it comes more naturally. The common denominator is really the warmth of a Leo and the love of the Pisces. It's really beautiful if you can express it.
I see that very much in you, and I think it's very pleasant, and I find it very natural, and I really like it. Yes. Well, good for you.
Thanks.
Good for you. Do you have problems with it?
No, not at all.
Okay, I don't think they're too problematic. So
No.
you see, the problem with when you compare any two planets is put any two actors on stage, two singers on stage. Well, every singer in the world wants to sing a solo. When you're two on the stage, you can't sing a solo. You can't sing a solo. So you're going to have to learn to sing duets. But everybody, even though you're going to have to sing duets, secretly every planet wants to have its solo. So you kind of have to operate where you let the Leo dominate for a while, then you let the Pisces dominate for a while. Yeah. Okay? A delicate balance.
Yes, definitely.
That's what astrology is this mixture, this incredibly difficult mixture of blending archetypes together. And if you can do that, if you have a knack for that, then you have the ability to be an astrologer. Thank you, Claudia.
Thank you.
We're going off to our Virgo Peggy and take a look at her chart. Let me get my... Yeah, I don't really want to show names and too much stuff tonight, so I'm just going to look at the chart myself. Peggy, Sun in Virgo, Moon in Leo. Now, this one's not as easy. I've seen it many times. Sun in Virgo, Moon in Leo. Now, we've talked about this a lot with Karen D in Florida, where she has the same thing. Sun is in Leo, Moon is in Virgo. I'm sorry. Sun is in Virgo, Moon is in Leo. I could feel her correcting me before I said it.
Sorry, I was.
That's okay. That's all right. I love Virgos. All right. So you got the Sun in Virgo, and they're absolutely great at what they do. They're perfectionists. And what do? They fix. They look for things to fix. And their problem is they look for things that are broken when there's nothing there. Okay, that's the problem. We all have a problem. So they get a hyper fixed thing going on, and they got to get rid of the hyper part. Meanwhile, over the Moon and Leo, the Moon and Leo can be really, really good for some signs, and is really awful for other signs. The Moon and Leo is, I feel this way. What's that song? I feel beautiful. I feel wonderful. That's the moon. It's just announcing itself. It's expressing how it feels, and it's proud of it. Well, see, Virgo is all about, don't show me that. I don't want to see that. I want to be in the background. Don't do that to me. And the Leo's going, what's the problem? What's the problem? Come on out. Say what you got to say. And the Virgo, I don't want to come out. Put me in the background. Put me behind the stage. So you've got the real imaginary war going on between the ego and the non-ego. In the book, when you slowly build your way through 6 signs and you become a Virgo, where did you just come out of? You just came out of the sign of Leo. And the book is based on growing out of the sign before you. And what happens in Leo? Leo is all about give me the attention, give me the shine on me, give me some makeup, how am I looking, how do I sound? Because I got to test myself. I'm the teenager. I got to test myself to grow more assured. Well, this goes on for 5 signs. And then Virgo comes along, and Virgo is really ashamed. And Virgo, the buck stops here, and everybody just shut up. Everybody just quit putting a lampshade on your head.
Yeah.
Okay? And the Virgo doesn't want all this accolades. It doesn't want all this attention because it wants its work to speak for itself. So they have to learn to sing at the same time. So Leo has to learn to allow the Virgo to be big and fussy and let it be involved. And the Virgo has to allow the Leo to spout. And they have to allow each other to coexist. And it's not easy. Does that make sense, Peggy?
Yes. Yes.
How do you experience it?
When the Leo comes out, sometimes I overdo it, and then I'm so ashamed as a Virgo. Like, how could I have done that? And I need to get more control over that. I want to do that, but if it just is spontaneous, then sometimes I feel like a clown, and then I think, well, it's over. So, you know, and then I go like, well, or I go, I'm gonna let the Leo out now. Here you go, have fun. And then the Leo comes out, you know. I mean, sometimes I feel like I got a dual personality thing going on.
Yeah, well, it would feel that way. And what I'm trying to say to you is it's usually not as bad as it feels. In other words, usually the Leo is not going to embarrass you as much as you think, okay? You go to a Virgo site on Facebook, almost every Virgo you go to, there will be no picture of themselves. Almost every Leo you go to, there will be all pictures of themselves. Okay? They just love, look good, look good. You know, they're admiring the sun's expression. So it's not simple. And it does the Virgo good to become more permeable, to be more allowing. Allow it to happen. Allow the Leo its need, because the Leo needs that part. And frankly, you're a Virgo at heart. But nowhere in the text, nowhere in the archetypal Bible does it say, thou shalt not express yourself. Virgo prides itself in doing the work, doing it exactly right, and doing it all yourself. They pride themselves with it, okay? And Virgo's really bad, just like Capricorn, I've told you before, at accepting compliments. So people stop complimenting these 2 signs. So there's every reason that you can do it, but it takes work, and you just have to become a little more accepting of that Leo part, because the Leo part is not trying to dominate the room per se. The Leo needs recognition, and Leo's charge in life is to learn to give themselves validation as opposed to always needing it from the outside. And you have to allow that, or you get too frustrated. The main thing that Leo needs, and you need to all hear this, is really true. The books don't tell you this, two things. Leo is a sign of respect, and Leo is a sign of jealousy. The books won't tell you that. Respect and jealousy. You always hear jealousy with Scorpio. Jealousy is a Leo thing. Respect is a Leo thing. Okay? So you'll know if you get, in other words, you're so Virgoan at heart, and Virgos are so pure at heart. You're, like I tell people, you're not going to run off to Las Vegas and be a dancing girl. It's not going to happen. It's just not in your nature. And one of the things I really try to harp on with Virgo people is how much people love them. People love being around Virgos. Huh, Marcia? Because they sense what good people they are. They just sense their honesty. They're just built with an honest bone, number one. So the Leo can relax more and just trust what the Virgo's doing, and the Virgo can relax more and learn that it'll dry up. Why? Why is the number one illness? Why is the number one illness in all of astrology, I don't care what anybody tells me, is Virgo people with intestinal issues? Without a doubt. Why? I've studied this closely. It's because the Virgo doesn't allow the intestines, the inner self, to flow. Doesn't allow things to flow through it. It's stopping, starting, criticizing. Stopping, starting, fixing, worrying, fretting. You see? So the Virgo needs to turn up the dial for letting flow through. So that's what the Leo helps you with. Okay? And the thing I've always said about Virgos, I think is really true too. There's nobody walking behind you with a clipboard except yourself. Oh, what did they do? Didn't they miss that tea there? Nobody watching you except yourself. So you see how hard it is to get past your archetypal nature? It's just unbelievable. Thank you, Peggy. Chris is Virgo Moon with intestinal. Okay, I'm going to talk with Chris now because Chris doesn't have a camera. Let me make sure. Where are you, Chris? Chris in the East, unmute yourself.
I
Chris,
did. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to October.
let me have you now, Chris, because I don't remember you very well because I've only seen you once. What is your sun sign?
Pisces.
Who are you talking about? Your boyfriend?
No, it's me. I'm a sun sign Pisces, and a full moon in Virgo is my moon, the day I was born.
Okay, so you're born during a full moon and your sun was in Pisces. Okay,
Right, correct.
now we're talking, all right? This is the critical opposition in the zodiac. In this book, I chose to make a very strong chapter about the 6 polarities. It's really important that you understand this. Aries, Libra, how are they alike? How are they different? Taurus, Scorpio, Gemini, Sag, Cancer, Capricorn, Leo, Aquarius, finally Virgo, Pisces. Now it's really critical that you understand the difference. Now, you are a Pisces sun sign, right?
Yes, that's correct.
You're Pisces sun, Virgo, and moon. All right, it would be totally different if it was reversed. The Pisces, here, let's talk about the archetype to begin with. The Virgo archetype is see what's different, separate it, be exclusionary. Oh, that one doesn't get in, this one comes in. Okay, it's different. Pisces is let everybody in. Hey, let them all in. I see what's alike. Virgo, I see what's different. Pisces, I see what they all have in common. Virgos, I see exactly what's different. That's why that particular polarity is the main one in the zodiac. Now, in the zodiac, there are pairings that are complementary. Yours are not, I'm sorry. In the zodiac, there are pairings that are compatible. an overused word that comes from newspapers and Cosmopolitan magazine. Then there are signs that are complementary, which is what Virgo Pisces is. What Virgo lacks, Pisces has, and vice versa. Same with all the oppositions. With John Gemini, he needs to get stuff from his Sag. With Diane, who's in Aries, she needs to activate her Libra side, the opposite side. So the difference is this: when the Pisces is getting too selfless and too accepting of everybody, because Pisces is the one that drags all the wet dogs home, and you got 13 dogs to feed in the backyard. How in the hell this happened? The Pisces is happy as hell, where the Virgo's got to do all the feeding and clean up all the mud. Okay? Now, so because the Pisces doesn't know boundaries. It doesn't understand boundaries. Virgo understands boundaries very well. Put this dog here, put that dog here, you stay. You understand? That's just how it works. So where the Pisces becomes too indiscriminate, it needs to borrow from the Virgo discriminate, and vice versa. The Virgo gets too discriminating, and the Pisces comes along, and it becomes more indiscriminate. I have all these people now where Neptune is now at 20 degrees Pisces, and it's hitting all these Virgos. And what's happening to all these Virgo planets, sometimes people 4 or 5 planets in Virgo, Neptune's across there from Pisces, hitting there, and these Virgo planets are starting to go, oh, shucks, let's ease up. Don't worry about the dishes. Let's get to this stuff later. No one's watching me anyway. So what's happening, and the royal queen of the zodiac is Pisces. Because Pisces is all about yielding to the oneness. And eventually, this is why the book was called Pisces, the Ultimate Sign. But a lot of Pisces people end up too indiscriminate, too spineless, too uneducated, too they don't have a go, go, go in them. So the Virgo's got the opposite. Virgo can't stand wasting a minute. Ambition's the word I was looking for. So it can be a really perfect blend. If when you are ambitious list and it's hurting you, the Virgo can come in and correct it. When you're too ambitious and it's really hurting you and you're becoming too robotic, that's what happens with Virgos, then the Pisces can come in and assuage it. Okay? It can be a beautiful blend. Now with you, Chris, how do you experience the two?
I think it's because of the full moon in Virgo. I sometimes will meet Pisces, and if I think, wow, thank God I'm not like that, because they are too inclusive. They can be, a little loosey goosey, a little ethereal. I have all that, but I think the full moon makes it even more intense. And I have Virgo in my chart a couple other places too. So
I don't agree that the full moon does anything. I think you're getting those other extra pushes from the other Virgo planets.
Okay, all right, gotcha. But I am, and it's funny you said they don't want to waste a minute. You just said that,
right?
The Virgo. I just flipped out today because my computer I had to restart it. I actually clocked it, and I lost 30 minutes, and I was just
oh my God, you lost 30 minutes.
It's driving me crazy, man. Mm-hmm. Everything has to be in order.
Yeah, but see,
schedule, right?
I told you before on this show, my girlfriend and I, years ago, we're laying under this tree in the summer. We're on a blanket looking up at the sky, beautiful day, and I look up in the tree and there's a dead branch, right? And I say to her, because I can't ever stop thinking about astrology. She tells me to cool it, but I can't. If I'm a Virgo, I'm going up in that tree and getting that stick out of there. Get that damn stick out of there. And if I'm a Pisces, I don't care. Let it rot. Let it fall down. It's doing what it's supposed to do. The Pisces is always.
To answer your question, if I had to say which way I would go,
yeah,
I would have to get the stick out of the tree unless I was under the tree with my boyfriend or a very dear friend and I was enjoying their company. Otherwise, that branch in that tree would drive me crazy.
Yeah, that's right. Well, what you're going to have to do, without a doubt, I don't care what your chart looks like, you're going to have to, throughout the rest of your life, start to get your needle to point more and more and more towards the Pisces. Okay? You're just going to have to. Because getting good at something and differentiating everything all the time, what's it going to get you? It's not hemorrhoids. What's it going to get you? Everything will be in a row. Okay, it's all in a row. But the goal of life is to return home by removing boundaries. That's my overall call on that one. Thank you, Flo. Thank you, Claudia. Thank you, Chris. All right, we'll move on here. Chris, East Coast. All right, now we'll move on to Susan up there in the Great Lakes, Lake Erie. And I already know Susan, so I don't have to even look. Susan is one of these unusual types, but not too unusual because we're all 1/12 of the whole thing. Sun in Sag, Moon in Gemini.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now, the thing about Sun and Sag, Moon and Gemini is they're both very similar. So you have to ask yourself right away, what's different between a Gemini and a Sag? Third sign, ninth sign. Gemini is small scale, local scale, interesting things. They like interesting facts. They like to find new, novel things to talk about, but they're not necessarily interested in what other people are doing. They're interested in what they're finding themselves. So Sag is the other side of the zodiac, which is why this book is heavily delineated into me and we, mine and yours, mine and us. First half of the zodiac is me. Second half of the zodiac is us. Gemini is my mind. Sag is our mind.
Right.
So it's really not, it's very, very compatible and it's very complementary. It's so complementary, I don't think you can even notice what's Gemini and what's Sag. They're so similar, they blend so effortlessly because what Gemini wants to do, Sag has no problem with it, and vice versa. The problem in the zodiac comes in sometimes when the Gemini doesn't have a factual basis behind what it's blabbing about. And a lot of Geminis like to blab, and they don't have a factual basis to back it up. And so what do, Mr. Trump? They change the subject. That's what they do. But you see, when you got the Sag part, the Sag has a factual basis. You see? So what does Sag have? How does Sag get into problems? Because it's not activating its Gemini side much. I've not thought a lot about that. It's been a long time since I wrote that. How does Sag suffer from not having its Gemini side activated enough? Do you know? Tough question, isn't it? How does Sag suffer when, well, I think what happens is this. Sag is the first to the soapbox.
Okay.
You can tell Mr. Rick has Mercury in Sagittarius. Can you tell? I like to speak what I got to say. So I think what it means is Sag is very much in a hurry to get to the finger sticking in the air. You know, in Tennessee, they used to say, are we going to have a discussion here, or are we just going to poke holes in the air? That's what they used to say in my company in Tennessee. Are we going to get somewhere, or just poke holes in the air with our finger?
Well, I was a teacher.
Yeah, well, you're the sign of the teacher, Sagittarius. I simply think it, in a minor way, it means sometimes you need more facts to back up your position. That's all. But of all the zodiac, I think Gemini Sag is probably the easiest opposition that there is. Now, the problem comes in that there's too much mutable.
Right.
Gemini's mutable, Sag is mutable.
Yeah.
There's just too much of, oh, I'll help you move on Saturday. Sure, I'll be here. 1 o'clock, we're going to move. I show up about 1:30. I lift 4 boxes. I start to sweat and go, oh, I'll see you later. That's very Sagittarian. That's very Sagittarian.
Okay.
Okay? Sag is not meant to promise and deliver. They lay all that on Capricorn. Next sign. Sag is meant to have fun. And Sag is meant to have 5 majors and 4 husbands. And that's just the way they are. And people can't get over it. They can't understand it. And Sag is having fun. Geminis love having fun. But the problem is that they can get too spaced. They can get too spread out, spread too thin, involved in 600 projects. And why does the Sag do it? They're not mean. The Sag's just, at the time, they get excited about the idea. Chaldean, ooh,
Yeah.
that's how Jupiter is.
Yeah.
See, they're not like Capricorn. Capricorn is, oh, do you realize the implications, all the stuff you're going to have to do? Okay? Look around, everybody. Look around. Look around. Everybody at the signs next door to you. You don't get along well with the signs next door to you. That's because one comes out of the other. And the book delineates it really well. How you get fed up with this sign. You can't do any more with this sign. So it has to morph into the next sign.
Right.
Okay. Thank you, Susan. Moving right along, trying to get everybody. Diane with the cat. We're going to unmute Diane. Diane is in Aries. Where's your moon?
Sagittarius.
Oh, what an interesting combination. A very good one. Sun is in Aries, moon is in Sag. Trine. They're 4 signs apart. One big red line in the zodiac. Those 2 signs are very harmonious because they're both fire. One is cardinal, leader, that's Aries. One is mutable, which is the Sag. So the Aries gets it started, the mutable gives it away. So it's a very good combination. Now, what's so good about it is when the Aries starts something, the moon says, sure, that sounds like fun, let's go. It's very harmonious. But just like I got done talking to Susan, the problem is sometimes you should say no to the Aries because the Aries is coming up with so many fires. It's because so many fires started, because that's what you're supposed to do, start fires, right? I wonder how many arsonists are Aries. Good question. And the moon's just going to agree. And the moon's just not going to stop you. If it's fun, they're going to do it. Here comes the fire coming out of the Aries or the machete going through the bushes. The moon and Sag is fine with it. So it's a very good combination. The only problem with it is, I was talking about this last night, fire signs do not like to admit when they're wrong. Fire signs are just not wrong. Of course they are.
No, we're not.
Yes, you are. Okay. Well, it's very fiery to back yourself up. By God, it's how I feel. It's how I feel. You understand? Boy, time is getting away from me. I'm going to have to get moving a little quicker. So thank you, Diane. I think it's a really good combination. And if you're having any difficulties coming from your other planets, here's an interesting one here for Marcia. Marcia's the Capricorn with a moon in Aquarius. And I'm born 2 days later with a moon in Pisces. So this is an unusual one. I've been thinking about this one the last few days. The sun is in Capricorn, the moon is in Aquarius. It's a very unusual combination. Ultimately, I think it's a fine combination, but it's an unusual one. Okay? Now, she has a twin, John. And if you ever saw 2 people that are different, they're really different. They both have real strong Jupiters, and Marcia's Jupiter is much stronger than John's is. Anyhow, we have a real asterisk here because her moon in Aquarius is ruled by Saturn and Uranus. Aquarius in the old days was ruled by Saturn before Uranus was discovered. And then they gave the rulership to Uranus. Beside that, it's just Aquarius is another name for contrarious, okay? Because they love polarities. They're up and they're down. They're thin and they're big. Somebody's in the waiting room. I'll admit her right there. Okay. So what Aquarius is, one of the things it is, Aquarius can't stand being labeled because to them being labeled is being restricted. So when Saturnian things happen with Marcia, the moon doesn't have much of a difficulty with it until here's where the problem comes in. Capricorn does not mind restricting itself. It volunteers to restrict itself. It's the only sign of the zodiac that does it. And Aquarius doesn't like it. Aquarian can't stand the loss of freedom or getting trapped. That's the big deal. So that's where the conflict comes. The voluntary need for Capricorns is so strong in duty and responsibility that I'll gladly restrict myself. Well, Aquarius says, well, wait a minute. Hold on. Okay? So when Marcia goes through a Uranus transit, the Aquarius part gets the upper hand. When she goes through a Saturn transit, the Capricorn planet gets the upper hand. Now, one of the other reasons that they get along well is they're both very advanced signs. They're the 11th, the 10th and 11th sign out of 12. And I don't mean that judgmentally. I mean that in terms of she's got so much inside her. She's got the Aries and the Taurus and the Gemini and all these other signs already inside. It's a very complex sign. So what usually happens is the Aquarius humanitarian is giving into the Capricorn because it understands it on a humanitarian level. The Capricorn gives into the Aquarius because it understands the responsibility. That's what happens. And I bet you this sounds a lot like you, Marcia.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
It's a very good combination, but eventually as time goes on, you have to respect the outer planet. As you get older, unlike most Capricorns, you need to become more Uranian. Allowing, breaking the rules, taking on less responsibility. What is Uranus all about? Aquarius is all about allowing yourself to be you. And that's one of the big problems in Capricorn. Capricorn's very hard time being themselves because they're so busy doing what they should do, what they're supposed to do. Okay? So as you start leaning towards the Uranus, you'll be better off. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Sarah, I don't know what yours is. I have to look it up. You need to unmute yourself. Sarah needs to unmute herself.
Okay, Sun in Taurus and the Moon in Aquarius.
Is that right?
Yes.
Oh, boy. Woo! I'm glad I don't even have to work tonight. This is easy. The sun is in Taurus. The number one thing you have to worry about when you're with a Taurus is, are they too small? Do they live in too tiny of a universe? Well, you got the moon in Aquarius, which is the opposite. The moon in Aquarius is everywhere. Now, the moon in Aquarius is very difficult to talk about because Aquarius is not an emotional sign. So how do you describe the nature? Ray says she's the opposite. Okay. How do you describe an emotion which is in an air sign? So what that means is you're constantly going to be with Sarah and think that she's this kind of good old girl next door, kind of just normal old gal next door, real comfortable. And all of a sudden she starts talking about something going on in the fifth ray of this dimension out there. You know, she's just way out there. Where in the hell did that come from? Tauruses don't know what that means. Tauruses don't care about these dimensions and this other type of consciousness. So she's got the benefit of living in her little hobbit hole. She's having a good time over there. You got the benefit being in a hobbit hole with your furry feet by the fire, but being big and reading books on, quantum physics. So that's the real beauty of it. So in your sense, your two get along well because they're just so different. But what are they? They're both real stubborn. Okay? They're both fixed signs. All right. If you're around a Taurus person and they have a dollar bill, don't ever try to take it. You don't grab money from a Taurus, okay, if you want your hand back. Okay. Aquarian people are fixed ideas. So Taurus is fixed to the earth and her mind is fixed to her ideas. So Aquarian people can be really wonderful. It's what I want to be in my next lifetime. But they can be very stubborn because they don't listen to other people's counsel. They only take counsel from themselves. That's where the rest of the chart has to be looked at. So how do you feel about this combo, Sarah?
I kind of like it. I like the difference in it
Mm-hmm.
because people think I'm a typical Taurus. All of a sudden, I'm very un-Taurus-like.
Exactly. And then you went on, and you travel all the world, around the world, giving all these lectures and readings to people. Tauruses don't do that. Tauruses stay at home. Archie bunkers in his chair.
Yeah, this is why this has not been real easy for me, but it hasn't. But yeah, I'm getting itchy to hit the road again.
Well, one of the things you must remember is Uranus is the ruler of your moon in Aquarius, right? And Uranus is where now? Going through Taurus. So your Taurus is going to have to give in. That old Taurus-Aquarius combo you have for the next 4 years, been there 3. Uranus stays in a sign 7. For the next 4 years, you're going to have to keep giving into the Uranus because it's in your sign. Let it disrupt you. Yeah, you're going to ache and bitch about not having things calm down and not having things displaced, etc., etc. You're going to just have to give into it because what it'll do, it'll put you in a newer frame of mind, a newer world that's fresher. And then as soon as 4 years is up and Uranus leaves Taurus, then you'll be able to start packing it in it and getting re-anchored. That make sense?
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen. Boy, the zodiac doesn't look that complex, does it? But it's what I called it. It's exquisite. Thank you, Sarah. Gonna move along. Linda, unmute yourself. Is your moon in Scorpio?
Moon in Scorpio, Sun in Libra.
Oh, wow. We have some really good. This should be, this screen looks just like Hollywood Squares.
It does.
We should put Paul Lind in the middle. Okay, now what's so unusual about a Libra sun and the moon in Scorpio is these are the 2 signs about relationships. And when I met Linda years ago, she was really heavily embroiled in the mindset of relationship stuff.
Oh my God, I was all over that.
Yeah, well, you've really liberated yourself a lot. And I'm also finding that, Linda, with Libra people, that when they're young, they're really obsessed with relationships because that's what that sign's all about. But they usually grow out of it in the sense that as they get older, they don't need a relationship as badly as they thought. The problem with it, and I actually said this in the book, is if you've got too many planets in Libra and Scorpio or 7th, 8th house, it's the end of the world when something goes wrong with a relationship. And that's pretty heavy that it's the end of the world. You're putting half your marbles in a relationship, and the other half you're putting in a relationship.
Well, I have like 4 planets in Libra, and the ascendant and the moon in Scorpio. So it's for a long time, that was it. It was like the end of the world, and I think the thing that helped me the most was astrology in the
Yeah,
sense,
of
in the
course.
sense that I started to sort of look around at the other planets in my chart and started to develop other things. And I recall you telling me, that that moon in Scorpio, was sort of calling me to be more emotional,
Yes.
you know, and you know, it's not like you give up Libra things, but it's like you take the Libra side. At least for me, I sort of try to take up the side that's more about diplomacy than it is about relationships.
Well, when it all comes down to and you're in trouble, you're going to go back to your Libra and be the diplomat. That's your strength.
Yeah, but then I can be the Scorpio and I got a knife in my boot.
Now, one thing I want you to remember, when I pushed you towards emotion, it wasn't because your moon was in Scorpio. It was
Venus in
because
Virgo.
what?
It's Venus in Virgo.
No,
On mid of it.
it was because I knew Pluto was going through Capricorn through your solar fourth house.
Oh my. Oh,
When
well,
I did a 2008, hey everybody, Pluto's going into Capricorn. What's it going to mean for all your sun signs? I wrote articles in 2007, 2008 about that. And when Pluto is going through the fourth house, put Libra on the cusp, Pluto going through Capricorn puts Pluto in the solar fourth house. So that's how I knew that Libras and all the problems that they were going to entail during the next 15 years were going to be, they're going to keep trying to solve problems in their mind when the issue is emotional. You're taking somebody's essential nature, which is air, and asking them to develop the water part. So that came about from Pluto moving into your fourth. Go ahead.
I just think that it's just been such a wonderful tool to sort of like, I mean, in some ways when you read about your sun sign and you find, you're all about relationships and you sort of, it's not just that you're naturally bent that way, you're also sort of reinforcing that if you dabble in newspaper astrology or something along those lines, but actually sort of looking at the natal chart and understanding that all of those configurations represent strengths, weaknesses, and challenges. And
yes, and another thing I think that's really important. Now remember, Scorpio is kind of the granddaddy to Libra, because Libra is getting introduced to relationships. That's a big deal. Scorpio takes it much deeper into marriage and sex and all that. So what you got to try to do as an astrologer is go much beyond that. So it's obvious to me that you're very, very good at relationships, meeting people, talking to people. You're a very smooth social person. But what has to happen is you have to expand this whole idea of relationship. It's not just relationship to another person, it's to all the things outside you. So when the Libra starts to expand their knowledge to all the cosmic variables, then you start to really develop, because most Libras are not interested in cosmic things. They're just too obsessed with social things. They're obsessed with it. So I think you can do all of these things, and I mark it down as a real favor that your Scorpio brings you.
The more I work with that energy, the better my life gets.
Yeah.
And it's also good at dropping people off the face of the earth when I should have nothing to do with them. The Scorpios have no patience for that,
Yeah, well, that's really nice, because that's really hard for people. And I suggest that your Libra probably helps out too.
Yeah.
Doing things smoothly.
Well,
letting go of people is really hard in astrology. When you have clients, boy, people don't want to let go. I think we just let go of a person here. Anyhow, thank you, Linda. I think you do really, really well. And I think you have a very nice balance. And that's another thing Libras don't get enough credit for. Libras are really, really good at landing on their feet, keeping things balanced. They're really a smart, smart sign. They're they don't get enough attention in the zodiac. Too much attention on this relationship stuff. They're ideal leaders, cardinal air. Dear Capricorns, when we paint ourselves, Marcia, when we paint ourselves into a corner, call a Libra.
That's right.
We said, because Capricorn always says, there's only one way to do it. There's one way. And the Libra goes, well, I got 9 or 10 I can think of.
I had a
Huh?
boss that was a Virgo, and she could never see a solution to anything other than the one in front of her. And she would just stand in my office door, and I say, well, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this.
Yeah, Libras are such good partners. They really are. And it's one of the reasons. Anyhow, it's pretty damn neat to look at all these signs. Erica and Charlene, I'm a-coming. Thank you very much, Linda. Okay, let's do Charlene. She's been patiently waiting. And we didn't forget you on the helium. We're working on it, so don't worry about that.
Okay.
Okay, now, Charlene, you are Sun in Taurus, right? And Moon?
Leo.
Moon and Leo. Oh, boy, that's a really nice combination. It's got some problems, but it's nice because if you're outspoken, your Taurus going to defend it. It's not going to be like Peggy saying, shut up. You're just going to say, that's okay. Don't worry about it. So Taurus, here you are very centered, right? Taurus make you, there's just a way of being around a Taurus. They just make you feel so comfortable. They just do. My next person's a Taurus too, and she's fading off the screen. There she is. And your moon is in Leo. Okay, this is really a pretty good place. It's not the best place, but Moon and Leo can save a chart. It can save a chart that has trouble emoting, like a Pisces or a Cancer. Can be really wonderful with a Moon and Leo because they kind of tend to hold back. And that Moon and Leo is all about, I'm going to say what I got to say. And the Taurus doesn't mind. The Taurus doesn't mind. The only problem with those two signs is, again, they're both fixed. You don't want to argue with Charlene. Charlene could be stubbornly defending her point. What do you say, Charlene?
Well, when you're right, you're right.
Oh, boy.
Well, my husband,
Oh, yeah? What is he? Is he Libra?
he's Cancer, but a lot of Leo.
Okay, good. Good. So you got a lot of Leo in your house. Do you have lots of walls drawn with big flowers and things like that?
Not big flowers, some art.
Okay, usually a Taurus house or Virgo house is all wooden, it's barn wood, and it's all seasoned, and it's all browns and grays and greens. And the Leo house is just big flaming flowers everywhere and very expressive. I like the combination. I think it's really pretty good. They get along really, really well, even though they're square to each other. Now, astrologically, the reason there's when they're square, usually they're supposed to hold a lot of tension. The reason that these two signs, why would Taurus have trouble with Leo? Very tough question. What do you think, Charlie?
Well, I think Leo is flamboyant and
Right.
can be spouting a lot of bullshit, I guess.
Well, sometimes it can. A Taurus sure doesn't like that. Yeah, Taurus doesn't like it. Yeah, you're right, Ray. You're right, Ray. It can be spouting a lot of bullshit. Taurus is very down to earth. Almost the down to earthness you think of when you think of George Carlin. He's just really a Taurus is Taurus. And Leos can be very flamboyant. Taurus doesn't have a need to put the light on me. They don't need it. Taurus is very confident in who they are. So of all the squares, I don't think that's really much of a square. I don't think it's that troublesome.
Good.
I really don't. I think it's pretty darn good blend. What the Leo moon wants to do, the Taurus is going to support. What the Taurus, the only problem comes in when the Leo's fire draws you towards action. Tauruses don't like that. They don't like to act. Taurus likes to stay. Okay? So as long as you can get your Taurus to pick their feet up and go along with the Leo's fire, then you'll be okay. Okay, now I got to get to Erica, I know's next.
No, I'm a Taurus with Leo too, so you don't need to do that combination.
Well, I do need to do it in terms of, before I get to Ray, I need to ask you about how you experience your Taurus sun with your moon in Leo. Of course, you got a bunch of Leo. You're not just moon.
No, I've got a lot of Aries.
A lot of Aries. Okay, well,
and I do have a lot of Leo too, because my Saturn and my Pluto are also in Leo with my moon in the 10th house.
Okay, well, how do you find your Leo mixes with your Taurus sun?
I just say thank God for it, because, you know, otherwise I might be too much of a stick in the mud. I might not have any sort of chutzpah to go out there and do the stuff that all my Aries parts want to do, and that my Libra rising is trying to keep me from doing, so that I can be appropriate.
Okay, we're talking about your Taurus and your Leo.
Sorry.
That's okay. How do
well,
those?
I'm glad I have the practical side, because otherwise, you know, I'd probably just take every nickel I have and put it into, say, a business that I had, a creative business, like my jewelry business, and then I'd lose all the money. You know, I almost did that until I met my husband, who's got his moon in Taurus, but he's a Libra. And he's a finance guy, and he said, show me your spreadsheet. And I said, what the heck is a spreadsheet?
Well, I think that's a real good point. Yeah, you got a pretty good blend. I've learned something tonight, that the Taurus Leo is not bad. It's really not bad. It's not bad. I mean,
it can help the Taurus get into a little bit of trouble, though, so life isn't too boring.
Well, I would think that where you would get in trouble is what the two houses are most likely square that they're in. I would say you would have trouble between those two houses. But I got to move on. How do you experience your sun moon, Rick? Oh, we don't talk about my chart now. Hey, thank you. Thank you, Erica, very much. Ray, are you next? I think Ray is next. Is that right?
If you want.
If I want. If I want to. Oh, if I want. Of course, we're going to go into your sun in Aquarius and moon.
Taurus.
Oh, my God. Look at that. Boy, you guys put me through the exercises. My moon's in Pisces. You don't get me started with moon in Pisces. Moon in Pisces is so unusual. It is nothing at all like the books say. It is a mess. It is a tough, tough place for the moon. Very difficult. I'm learning a lot about it. Ray, sun in Aquarius, moon in Taurus?
Yes.
Sun in Aquarius. Well, I know you got a rising Saturn, which is very strong. Sun is in Aquarius. The difficulty is the sun being in Aquarius, it really wants to explore the mental realms.
Oh yeah.
And the moon in Taurus being square, the moon wants you to make, well, so what? Well, so what? You figured out that theory. So what? How are we going to make money off of it? It's trying to bring it down to earth all the time. Well, Aquarius doesn't want to come down to earth. Aquarius is the opposite. It wants to go up in the skies. So it's this tug of war between you, just this elastic rope just keeps stretching between trying to earthify it and skyify it. Does it make sense to you?
It does. Yeah.
Explain to me how you feel.
Well, because I do, I like creature comforts. Like when I travel, I like to stay in one place for a while.
That's the Taurus.
Yep. But I like to travel. You see what I mean?
Travel. And Taurus doesn't like to travel. Taurus does not like to travel. Not the sign of Taurus. It likes to stay home.
Right. And so when I do travel, I like I lived in Hawaii for 3 years. You know, I kind of made that my home. I was a French major in college. I lived in France for about a year. You know, that was another home.
That's very Aquarian. That's wonderful.
Yeah, and I worked in Yellowstone National Park for a few summers. That was another home, you know. So I mean, I like the adventure, but I like the hominess, if that makes.
No, that makes total sense. And I'm gonna end this show on a particular story that I told you about before. But that reiterates, Ray, what I keep telling you. I don't know why in the past several years, I keep seeing this Uranus moon theme, or this, see, the moon is exalted in Taurus. But here's this theme of you've got one sign, Aquarius, that loves change, with the other sign that hates it.
Yep.
5 signs apart. Aquarius loves change, loves chaos. Taurus can't stand it. Can't stand it.
I think I'm helped because my moon is in the 11th house.
Your moon in the 11th will help, but you've got Saturn rising in Cancer, and that aggravates it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, so I think what happens in your case is your moon knows it's not going to get what it wants all the time. It just knows it. Besides, it's not the sun sign. And your sun sign, I think of all the cases I've heard tonight, I would like to inspect your past lives and to see where this tug of war is coming from.
Sure.
The Aquarius, Taurus thing. But I bet you when you get grilled down and you take a position, you ain't going to move, are you?
Correct. I can be quite stubborn, and I can be quite tenacious. I can hold on. I mean, I've been in the middle of a project for let's call it the last couple of years, and I'm not done with it yet, but I'm not giving up on it either. Day by day, you know, just
I bet you it started when Uranus went into Taurus.
That could be. I should look.
May of 18.
May of 18.
See,
that sounds right.
When you learn these dates, you wouldn't believe how useful they are. You wouldn't believe how many things start on the day that major planets cross into a new sign.
Sure. I believe
June 10th, 2003, Monday afternoon.
Well, what's interesting too is I just noticed that Saturn is just crossed over into my 8th house. And so I'm kind of looking at, you know, well, how, and I don't know, I mean, with the 8th house being pretty unflinching, I think I could draw on some of that strength.
Well, also, you're going to want to rewrite your will. You're going to run a rewrite and think about your memoirs and what you're leaving behind. Not that you're going to die. And you're going to have more issues with the IRS, et cetera, bigger companies, insurance companies. And you're going to, most of all, want to draw the line with people. If you've allowed people to affect your self-worth too much, you're done with it.
Yeah,
that's the big thing.
And
that's the 8th house.
Oh, beg your pardon?
That's the 8th house.
Gotcha.
My self-worth when I'm with you, forget it. You're not going to affect it anymore. Okay, am I missing anybody in the background on the telephones? I wanted to leave you with one quick story, which I think is kind of intriguing. I have a buddy who, well, we're all getting older now. We just had our 50th high school reunion. But I have a buddy, good buddy, who is a Taurus. And we're friends on Facebook, and he's definitely not into astrology since he's a Taurus. And he's a former Army guy, so it's kind of tough. And one day, to show you the Taurus thing about loving what they have and all that, and being anchored to what they have, he wrote a long poem on Facebook, which was called, I know some of you have heard this, it was called Ode to Lefty. He wrote a poem called Ode to Lefty and went on and on about how he enjoyed him so much and he enjoyed having him around. And it was so sad for him to be parting from Lefty after all these years, but he knew he had to let go. And he was talking about his left boot. That's what he was talking about, his left boot. And he was going to have to go shopping for new boots and let go of the old one. I guess a burial ceremony. But you just saw how much the guy loved it. So don't mess with somebody if he loves it that much. Let him love it. If you're Gemini and you want 600 pairs of shoes, go ahead and get it. But let's hope today, as we come to a wind down here, let's hope that Lefty's doing pretty good wherever Lefty is. Thank you all. Thank you, YouTube, for being patient and stick with us. Remember now, we'll do astrology next week, but on October 15th, I've given a heads up to Stephen. Stephen Popland is the hypnotist and astrologer. He's done this show 4 times. We're going to be mapping out this insane planetary thing. It's going to go on November into December into January, and it's coming to a head on January 21st. Maybe, because these planets are not stopping on January 21st. But we're going to be mapping out the end of the year politically, and Stephen is a Sag, so he will be speaking his mind. Then the goodie, you'll hear much more about it. The one I'm really looking for on our 200th show anniversary, 200th show anniversary on November 19th with Nook Sanchez. Thanks everybody for sticking with it. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned.
Happy full moon tomorrow.
Happy full moon tomorrow. Everybody, we'll see you next week. Have a good one.